After discovering the secret that the cute and lovely campus belle is a gang leader, I just want to run away as fast as I can. But I never expected that. She blocked me in an alley with 3 billion underlings and forced me to be her boyfriend. I refused, so she had someone beat me up every day. Until I agreed. It all started on my 20th birthday, after my childhood sweetheart rejected my confession again. I walked home alone in the rain. When I passed the bridge, I saw a girl sitting on the bridge, about to jump into the river. I was stunned for a moment. That girl turned out to be Luo Qinghan, the campus belle of our school. She looked so pitiful, so I gave her a slap, telling her to go home with me. Luo Qinghan stood there, covering her face in a daze. All her life, she had been living a life where she was adored by everyone, and she was used to people treating her with fear and awe, flattering her cautiously as if treading on thin ice. This was the first time a boy had slapped her. Somehow she unconsciously followed me home. At that moment, I took a set of clean t-shirt and shorts from my hand and handed them to Luo Qinghan. I pointed in the direction of the bathroom. "You go wash first. Wash yourself clean, otherwise how can we do what comes next?" After saying that, I turned around and left. Luo Qinghan was confused. "Wait, what comes next?" "I agreed to go home with you, but I never agreed to do anything extra." Luo Qinghan panicked all of a sudden. She suddenly turned her head to look at the door. Maybe I should run away. However, a stinky smell came from her body. She looked down at herself. It had been pouring rain outside just now, and her clothes were already soaked through. The smell was extremely disgusting. Luo Qinghan hesitated. Should I run away? Or take a bath? 15 minutes later, in the bathroom, Luo Qinghan tilted her slender and graceful neck, letting the water from the shower head pour onto her smooth and delicate skin that seemed to break at the touch. I'm really smart. I can run away after taking a bath. The warm water kept pouring down, and Luo Qinghan's 2 long, straight, and slender legs loomed faintly in the warm, steaming mist. She took a comfortable bath, then hurriedly put on the t-shirt I gave her. The loose white cotton t-shirt hung down slightly to her hips, covering most of the shorts, only revealing a pair of fair and smooth long legs. She quietly pushed open the bathroom door. Luo Qinghan's long hair, like a waterfall, hung loosely behind her shoulders. She tiptoed out. "Want some noodles?" Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Luo Qinghan stiffly turned her head around. She saw me sitting by the dining table, and a bowl of steaming hot noodles was already placed on the table. She swallowed her saliva. She hadn't eaten all day. At this moment, smelling the mixed aroma of chopped green onions and poached eggs, Luo Qinghan couldn't hold back at all. Somehow she walked to the seat opposite me. She forced an awkward smile. I looked her up and down. "Did you wash clean?" Luo Qinghan put aside her usual cold and domineering expression, blushed and hummed in response. I gave a meaningful smile. "Then I'll go wash clean too." With that said, I stood up and walked to the bathroom. Luo Qinghan widened her beautiful eyes in panic. "No, I have to leave now." "Right now?" "Immediately." But then her stomach gurgled. "This noodle smells so good." Luo Qinghan roughly wiped the saliva from the corner of her mouth. "Should I run away? Or eat the noodles?" 10 minutes later, Luo Qinghan was wolfing down the noodles, her chopsticks never stopping. "It tastes almost the same as the noodles my mom makes." The more she ate, the more complacent she became. I'm really smart. Running away and eating noodles don't conflict at all. I can run away after eating. I must have enough time. Who takes less than 20 minutes to take a bath? She hadn't even finished half a bowl of noodles when there was a squeak. The bathroom door was opened. Luo Qinghan's hand holding the chopsticks froze in midair. He finished in just 3 minutes. Do all boys take baths this fast? Luo Qinghan looked up in fear. At that moment, I was casually wrapped in a bathrobe. Only then did Luo Qinghan notice that I had a tall and well-proportioned figure, with clear muscle lines. There was a temperament about me that was both elegant and vigorous. She unconsciously bit her lower lip. He's handsome and can cook. Even if something happens next, I don't seem to be at a loss. So she continued sitting there eating noodles. After a while, she hesitated and asked, "Are your parents not at home?" I nodded. "They do business in Africa?" "They barely come back a few times a year. I usually live alone." Then I tapped the table with my finger, staring at her. "You've finished eating, and you've washed clean. Let's go to bed early." Luo Qinghan instinctively shrank back, her face turning red instantly. "Go to bed directly. Is there really no transition at all?" Of course, I had no idea what weird thoughts Luo Qinghan was having. In the morning, I booked a private room, a cake, and roses. In the afternoon, I entertained my classmates and decorated the venue. all just to confess to my childhood sweetheart. But I was rejected on the spot. In the evening, I had to outwit Luo Qinghan. After all this trouble until now, I was really exhausted. I just wanted to close my eyes and sleep soundly. I waved my hand tiredly. There's only one room available to live in at home. The sofa in the living room is too short. So one of us will sleep on the bed, and the other on the floor. Hurry up, I'm so sleepy I can barely keep my eyes open. When Luo Qinghan heard this, she let out a big sigh of relief. Oh, so that's what you meant by going to bed. She suddenly felt a little guilty. Not only did I misunderstand a good person, but I also took over his bed, making him have to sleep on the floor. Luo Qinghan said sincerely, "Then I'll make you suffer." I was stunned for a moment, then said, "You misunderstood. You're the one sleeping on the floor." 10 minutes later, Luo Qinghan looked at the sheet on the floor in disbelief. "Don't you have any sympathy for a pretty girl at all? Are you even a man?" I couldn't help but roll my eyes, then plopped down on the bed. "Sorry, I'm really too tired and wrong today. So I made a decision that goes against my ancestors' teachings. I'm not going to act like a man today." Thud! I leaned back and fell directly onto the bed, fast asleep. Luo Qinghan had no choice but to lie down on the floor mat. But as a young lady who had always been spoiled, she was used to lighting nice aromatherapy, playing natural sounds, and only being able to fall asleep on a soft bed that she could sink into. Now this floor mat was really too hard. Luo Qinghan tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Suddenly I spoke from the bed. "Can you stop tossing and turning? It's so noisy. Do you think I want to—" Luo Qinghan flew into a rage instantly. "Do you know how uncomfortable this floor is?" I sighed from the bed. "Fine, you can come up to sleep too." Luo Qinghan froze. "We'll put a quilt between us in the middle of the bed. Otherwise you'll keep tossing and turning, and I won't be able to sleep either." Luo Qinghan was speechless. "Can't you just come down and sleep on the floor mat?" I chuckled. "No, I've had a bad enough day already. I must sleep on the bed tonight." Luo Qinghan struggled violently in her heart. A few seconds later, she shouted loudly, "I want to get on your bed." Then she threatened me fiercely. "You are not allowed to come near me at night. Otherwise, I'll let my dad kill you tomorrow. I'm the leader of the biggest gang in this city." When she didn't hear a reply from me for a long time, Luo Qinghan felt complacent. She thought she must have intimidated me with what she just said. But the next second, steady snoring came from the bed. Luo Qinghan was speechless. "I threatened and intimidated you for so long, and you actually fell asleep, even if you're not afraid of gangsters. There's a girl like me lying next to you. At least you should be tempted by my beauty, or get a little excited, or try to touch me or something." For the first time, Luo Qinghan began to have some doubts about her own appearance. She turned her head in a huff, and by the moonlight filtering through the window, glared at me angrily. "How can a guy have such long eyelashes? His eyebrows are so nice too, and his lips are so sexy. He looks quite cute when he's asleep. What's more, he smells really good." She couldn't help but take a deep breath, lost in her random thoughts. Luo Qinghan's eyelids gradually grew heavy, and she slowly drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I opened my eyes slowly. A stunningly flawless face, just inches away from mine, appeared before me. I widened my eyes in surprise. "What's going on? Why is the quilt we used as a divider kicked onto the floor?" Luo Qinghan's oversized pajamas were askew, revealing half of her snow-white shoulder, and a slender waist that could be circled with one hand below, and her jade-like arm was draped straight over me. Worse still, her long, straight, fair leg was wildly wrapped around my waist, like a white horse coiling around a big tree. I couldn't believe my eyes, so I rubbed them hard. "Seriously? What kind of sleeping posture is this? Are you using me as a tree to climb?" I swallowed hard. Over there, Luo Qinghan slowly opened her eyes. In that instant, our eyes met. Luo Qinghan inched her body closer to me, then closed her eyes again, and naturally hugged me tightly. My brain just short-circuited. OMG, must her brain still be booting up? At that moment, her flawless face was so close that her breath even brushed against my lips, breathing in the sweet scent from Luo Qinghan's body. I felt my heart beating wildly out of control. The sun shone on Luo Qinghan's face, making her hum in discomfort. Her body trembled slightly, and she opened her eyes once more. Our eyes met again. After 3 seconds of silence, Luo Qinghan let out a scream. She instinctively thought I was trying to assault her, but when she looked down carefully, she saw I was lying there perfectly still, not moving an inch. It was actually her who had coiled around me like an octopus, leaving no gap between us. Luo Qinghan closed her eyes in shame. Why did I sleep in such a posture? I'm a young lady from a distinguished family. A distinguished family lady who has received systematic etiquette training. Why did I kick off the quilt? And then cling to a guy and rub against him like that? She jumped out of bed, rushed into the bathroom, held her head in her hands and muttered frantically, I'm a decent and self-respecting girl. I'm an elegant and composed young lady. I can't go on like this. Half an hour later, I knocked on the bathroom door. Can you come out now? You've been in there for half an hour. Come out and eat. I made red bean porridge. I'll pass. You eat alone, Luo Qinghan said. She covered her face with her hands. You don't have to eat, but you have to come out. I'm really urgent to pee. Then you have to forget what happened this morning. I already forgot. I can swear to you. Right now my mind is completely blank. I just need to pee. 10 minutes later, Luo Qinghan sat at the dining table drinking porridge, not saying a word. I also had the sense not to mention what happened that morning. I took a sip of porridge and asked calmly, Are you going to school today? Luo Qinghan replied coldly, No. My clothes are still wet. I nodded, picked up a napkin to wipe my mouth, and handed her my phone. Then use my phone for now. If you need anything, call my good friend Jiang Chao. The unlock code. 6 I said. Then I picked up my black-framed glasses from the table, put them on, and got ready to go out. Luo Qinghan frowned and looked at me. Can you throw away those black-framed glasses and get a new haircut? They look really ugly. I scratched the back of my head awkwardly. I had never really cared about my appearance before. Watching my back as I walked out the door, Luo Qinghan's expression became complicated. She picked up the phone on the table, dialed a number, and said, Uncle Lin. A hurried voice came from the other end of the phone. Young lady, where are you? Stop being stubborn. Apologize to the master, and come home quickly. When Luo Qinghan heard this, she sneered. Apologize to him. Is that possible? It's not even a month since Mom passed away, and he's already brought his new girlfriend home. Does such a person deserve to be my father? Besides, did Mom really die in a car accident? Or was her death for someone's maximum benefit? A cold glint flashed in Luo Qinghan's eyes. Then she said, Uncle Lin, you don't have to worry about this. Now help me contact Zhang Yuyao. Tell her to stop killing endlessly in northern Myanmar, and hurry back to Yunda. I have another task for her. Yes, young lady. You'll see her tomorrow, came Uncle Lin's slightly aged voice. Also, don't call this number again. I'll contact you directly, she said, then hung up the phone. Luo Qinghan frowned and fell into thought. After today, I should go back to sleeping in the school dormitory. According to the rules, no one can make a move there. More importantly, sleeping in the school dormitory will prevent that awkward situation this morning from happening again. Recalling the scene earlier, Luo Qinghan couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth. But Luo Qinghan also looked a little confused. What's wrong with me? Why do I feel a little reluctant to leave him? At this time, Anutian, my childhood sweetheart who studied administrative law at Yunda, sat down in her usual seat. She left an empty seat next to her. Everyone in the department knew that this seat was exclusively for her yes man, me. Surprisingly, this seat was still empty during the first class, because at that moment, I was in a barbershop at Yintai Plaza, looking at my newly cut, neat short hair. I nodded in satisfaction. To be honest, it's embarrassing to admit, but this watermelon haircut was Anutian's favorite style. The hairstyle of the male lead in a certain Korean movie. I originally grew my hair like this, just to please Anutian. But after growing it, I found it thick, stuffy, and hard to maintain. I'd been wanting to cut it short, but Anutian said it looked cute. So I ended up keeping it for 3 whole years. Today, I finally felt free. I felt extremely refreshed. I also took off my black-framed glasses along with the old haircut. In fact, I'm not nearsighted at all. Those black-framed glasses were just a prop. But Anutian said, I looked just like you Wenli in a certain movie when I wore them. So, I kept wearing them. Even when I played basketball. As time went by, everyone thought I was severely nearsighted. I let out a helpless sigh. Over the years, I've done so many foolish things just to please Anutian. Guy, what do you think of the haircut? The Tony stylist behind me beamed with pride. Before I could answer, a hair-washing girl passing by first gave a thumbs up in admiration. Brother Tony, this isn't just styling. This is doing magic. It's like a complete transformation. Just okay. Tony waved his hand lightly, acting nonchalant. But inside he was laughing triumphantly with his hands on his hips. After Brother Tony, touched him up. He's way more handsome than those privileged celebrities in the entertainment industry. He could debut right on the spot. After leaving the barbershop, I noticed the mall was having a 3rd anniversary sale with 50% off everything. Following the principle of not taking advantage of a good deal is foolish, I bought myself a complete set of simple-style casual clothes, plus a pair of white sneakers. Then I went back to school and headed straight for Building 3. As soon as I stepped into the classroom, it caused a stir. Look at that hottie! Who is he? Did he walk into the wrong class? A buzz of discussion spread through the classroom instantly. Girls covered their mouths, blushing, while boys frowned in frustration. All eyes were fixed on me. I walked over to Jiang Chao's side, about to sit down, when he turned to look at me and said, "Dude, who are you?" I stared at him blankly, not saying a word. Jiang Chao got annoyed. "What are you staring at?" "Stare again and I'll punch you, you hear?" After 3 full seconds of this, I finally let out a helpless sigh. "My good buddy, don't you recognize your dad?" As soon as my familiar voice rang out, the classroom fell as quiet as if someone had hit the pause button. Not a sound could be heard. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone's mouth hung open, staring at me like I was an alien, their faces filled with disbelief, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Jing Chao jumped up. "Damn! Dude, did you get plastic surgery in South Korea?" The rest of the class also gasped, staring straight at me. This is literally a complete transformation. He's so handsome I can't even close my legs. Amidst the chatter, the rhythmic sound of high heels came from the corridor. English teacher Yue Siki walked into the classroom. The noisy discussions instantly fell silent. Every Chinese student, at some point in their academic life, encounters an English teacher with a charming temperament and beautiful appearance. At Yunda's law school, Yue Siki was that dream English teacher. Yue Siki used her overseas-learned London accent to teach everything from grammar to fixed collocations. Her slightly hoarse, sexy voice, along with the black stockings covering her shapely long legs, made people unable to look away. As Mr. Lu Xun once said, black stockings clinging to curves, even immortals can't resist. When Yue Siki, dressed in a professional suit, walked in with elegant steps, even Zheng Chao, the usual playboy, immediately turned into a gentleman, sitting up straight and proper. Yue Siki stood calmly in front of the podium, and her soft gaze swept over the students below. Then she froze. Her cheeks flushed slightly as she said, "This student. Did you walk into the wrong class?" Her tone was unexpectedly awkward. Yue Siki was actually quite worried. She was afraid this boy with exquisite features would stand up and say affectionately, "No, teacher, I didn't walk into the wrong class. I came specifically to listen to your lecture. I've liked you for a long time." This kind of thing had actually happened before, and it had made her so angry that she'd lectured that bold, confessing boy. For a long time, she glanced again at this handsome young man with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and suddenly felt her heart beating a little faster. "Seems like I'd be hesitant to scold this one today," she thought. "Teacher, it's me. Don't you recognize me?" I stood up helplessly and spoke. Yue Siki's mouth dropped open. Her beautiful eyes sized me up from head to toe for a long time. Then she took a deep breath. "All right, let's start class, everyone." Throughout this class, the teacher was distracted, and the students were absent-minded. No one cared about what was written in the textbook. Everyone was secretly glancing at me. The boys were okay. They just wanted to know which barbershop could work such a face-changing miracle. The girls' thoughts, though, were much more complicated. Take Anyudian, for example. She was in a daze. She glanced at me, transformed over and over again. My eyes were like a galaxy, my eyebrows like distant mountains, and my handsome facial features had clear contours. Every gesture of mine exuded an extraordinary aura. She couldn't help but send me a message. "Where did you get your new haircut?" "It looks really nice." "I need a haircut recently, too." "Take me with you." At the same time, at my home, Luo Qinghan took one last look at the living room, stood up, placed my phone on the dining table, and got ready to leave. Just then, a ding sound rang out. A new message had arrived on the phone on the table. Luo Qinghan picked up the phone in surprise and read the message. "Where did you get your new haircut?" "It looks really nice." "I need a haircut recently, too." Take me with you! Luo Qinghan's pink lips parted slightly, her eyes freezing for a moment. The sender was saved as Baby Annan. Her gaze gradually sharpened, and an inexplicable anger slowly rose in her chest. With a slap, she slammed the keys hard on the table. Luo Qinghan sat down again. I can't leave until I finish reading this chat, she thought. Although I was a local in Yunzhou, I usually lived in the dormitory most of the time. After all, there was no one at home, and it was never as lively as staying with those good buddies in the dorm. But today was different. Today, someone was waiting for me at home. So as soon as class ended, I left my friends behind and hurried to the supermarket. When I walked through my front door, carrying a big bag of vegetables, meat, and fish, suddenly I felt that the atmosphere at home today seems a bit off. Luo Qinghan was sitting at the dining table in a black fitted waist long dress. Her slender, straight collarbones were exquisite and beautiful. When she saw me come in, she put down her phone with a heavy thud and narrowed her light-colored eyes, biting her pink, plump, thin lips. She let out a cold snort. The haircut is not bad, she said. Her tone rose at the end, filled with a sarcastic air. I immediately sensed something was wrong. This expression, this demeanor, and this tone that exuded a thick, low-pressure aura were exactly the same as when my mom was about to scold my dad, down to the last detail. I immediately lost my nerve, and said with an ingratiating smile, "What have you been up to at home today?" A cold sneer curled up at the corner of Luo Qinghan's mouth. "Not much," she said. "Just spent the whole afternoon on my phone. Something's wrong," I thought. I took a deep breath, and my fingers began to tap restlessly on my knees. With that tone of hers, something definitely happened. Staring at Luo Qinghan's beautiful yet cold and delicate face, I decided to follow my instinct. The best policy was to leave. You go on with your phone. I'll go make dinner first," I said. As I spoke, I pointed towards the kitchen and turned to run away. Unexpectedly, Luo Qinghan stood up and stopped me. "I'll go help you out too," she said. The two of us went to the kitchen. For dinner, I planned to make pancakes and a fish dish. I had already leavened the dough before I left this morning. I took out the chopping board and pulled out the rolling pin, then turned around uneasily, only to see behind me Luo Qinghan picking up the carp that was blowing bubbles and staring at it coldly. Her gaze was so cold it could have shot out shards of ice. I swallowed nervously. "Do you know how to kill a fish?" I asked. Luo Qinghan thought for a moment. "It's just killing it, right?" "That's easy." I was a little surprised. "Then I'll leave this fish to you," I said. "I'll make the pancakes first." As I spoke, I turned to go to the living room to get the electric pancake maker, worried that the rolling pin might roll off the chopping board. I handed it to Luo Qinghan casually. She held the wriggling carp in her left hand, and the rolling pin in her right. She hefted the thick, 1-meter-long rolling pin. "Not bad. It has a good weight to it," she said, chills flashing in her eyes. Luo Qinghan pressed one hand on the fish and lifted the other hand high, holding the rolling pin aloft. She aimed at the fish and smashed it down hard. I was rummaging in the living room and suddenly shuddered. What was that? An earthquake? With a clang, I dropped the electric pancake maker and ran back to the kitchen at top speed. It was evening by then. The kitchen window faced the sky, and the setting sun on the horizon. A streak of blood-red light poured in through the window. Amidst the scarlet fish blood, Luo Qinghan's eyes were cold and fierce. Holding the rolling pin high, she smashed it down hard again on the fish on the chopping board. The fish's head burst open, covered in blood. Cold sweat covered my face, and 1,000 question marks popped up in my mind. "What are you doing, for heaven's sake? What on earth are you trying to do?" Suddenly the fish's tail flapped once. In the blink of an eye, Luo Qinghan smashed the rolling pin down again with a violent blow. The fish's head was completely crushed, and its tail finally stopped moving. I took a step back subconsciously. "What on earth are you doing?" I asked again. Luo Qinghan turned her head and looked at me coldly. "Killing the fish. Didn't you ask me to do this?" The corner of my mouth twitched. I was just about to speak when the fish's tail suddenly twitched slightly. As if from a nervous reflex, a sharp whooshing sound rang out. Luo Qinghan's rolling pin, like a streak of lightning, smashed down hard once more. There was a loud bang. "Who do you think you are, losing all your dignity? Being a shameless bootlicker? Being so blind? Not knowing what's good for you? I'm already living in your house, and you still dare to contact Baby Annan." With a series of 3 violent smashes, that carp, which must have done some terrible deeds in its past life, finally gave up completely. It was definitely, utterly dead. Luo Qinghan exhaled a long breath of pent-up anger and relief, and dropped the rolling pin with a clang. She turned to look at me, who was already petrified. This afternoon, she said, she had practically scratched the walls in anger. As she read through all my chat history with Anyutian, she had read every single message, and was so angry her lungs were about to explode. Finally, I understood what had happened. From my 3rd year of junior high to my 1st year of college, all the chat records of me pursuing Anyutian in a humble, fawning way had been seen by her. Over 5 years, the chat history must have totaled more than 200,000 words. Just imagining Luo Qinghan reading through each of my embarrassing messages one by one made my face turn green. I was so careless, so damn careless. When I handed her my phone this morning, why hadn't I remembered to delete the chat history? I closed my eyes and the corner of my mouth twitched. Maybe you should go back to the living room and rest for a while first. My eyes were fixed firmly on the chopping board and the fish with its crushed head. No need to help me with the cooking. I can handle making dinner alone, I said. I cook quickly. Please, just let me stay in the kitchen alone for a while, I begged inwardly. It wasn't until Luo Qinghan turned and walked out of the kitchen that I looked up, filled with despair, and let out a wail. It's over. I've lost all my dignity. When people are in extreme embarrassment, they pretend to be busy. So I started to handle the fish frantically. Recalling the entire process of Luo Qinghan killing the fish just now, she had really hit hard. And yesterday, I seemed to have slapped her in the face too. I stared blankly at the fish in the pot, which hadn't even kept its whole body, and my hand trembled unconsciously. As a result, half a box of salt fell into the pot. 45 minutes later, Luo Qinghan, who was extremely hungry, sat at the dining table and quickly picked up a piece of fish meat and put it in her mouth. Her pair of beautiful eyes widened instantly, as if struck by lightning. After her expression changed several times, she slowly put down her chopsticks. She silently picked up the water glass next to her and took a big gulp. Are you trying to make me die of saltiness? She asked. I looked at Luo Qinghan in confusion, picked up a piece of fish meat and put it in my mouth. Suddenly my eyes blurred. It felt like I was going to pass out. This is too much. My face turned purple. I quickly put down my chopsticks. Sigh, there are too many unscrupulous merchants these days, I said. I bought freshwater fish, but they must have swapped it with saltwater fish. I lied. I spread my hands with deep remorse and said indignantly, this is really outrageous. You agree, right? Luo Qinghan pressed her lips together and stared at me suspiciously. What kind of water must be so salty to raise a fish like this? She asked. We couldn't eat the fish anymore. Fortunately, we had pancakes. We dipped them carefully in a little of the salty fish soup and washed them down with large sips of boiling water to dilute the salt, barely managing to fill our stomachs. After clearing the dishes and chopsticks, the courier delivered 2 packages. One was a camping mattress, and the other was a new phone. I pointed at the mattress. This one's for me. Then pointed at the phone. This one's for you. I specifically bought you a pink one. But it's a model from a few years ago. Just make do with it for now, I said. Luo Qinghan said nothing. She took the phone and froze for a moment. Thank you. Luo Qinghan hurried back to the bedroom and closed the door. She grabbed the phone and examined it carefully. It's really so similar. She inserted the SIM card and turned on the phone. A beam of light lit up her face, followed by a flood of messages, all missed calls from her family. Luo Qinghan didn't bother to look at them. She just kept stroking the phone. Its pink case, it's too similar. Many years ago. Mom also handed me a small pink phone just like this one, she thought, and then said the same words I just heard. Hanjie, I specially bought you a pink one. Do you like it? Luo Qinghan's eyes suddenly widened. Mom, could it be that you sent her from heaven to protect me specially? Lifting her head, Luo Qinghan looked up at the ceiling nervously. Mom, is that you? If it's you, make the light in this room flicker once. 3 seconds later, everything remained the same. Covering her chest, Luo Qinghan let out a sigh of relief. What am I thinking? Really? Suddenly, with a snap, the light went out. Staring at the darkness in front of her, I was also stunned. Damn it, I usually live in the dorm. I forgot to pay the electricity bill at home. I quickly shouted towards the bedroom. Luo Qinghan! It's okay, don't panic. The power's out. I'll fix it right away. After hurriedly paying the electricity bill, the lights finally came back on. I opened the bedroom door with a smile. At that moment, Luo Qinghan was covered in cold sweat. Her face as pale as paper, She stared at me intensely, her lips trembling slightly. Seeing this, I couldn't help but complain. Is that necessary? It's just a power outage. Your reaction is so exaggerated. After an awkward laugh, I retreated to the living room and started figuring out how to set up the camping mattress. Great, with this thing, we definitely won't end up hugging each other again tomorrow morning. On the other side, Anu Tian, who hadn't received a reply from me all day, couldn't hold back and called me again, busy figuring out the camping mattress. I didn't hear the phone ring at all. Just as the phone was ringing, Luo Qinghan came out to get some water and saw that annoying contact name again, Baby An. Luo Qinghan angrily pressed the answer button, and Yudian couldn't wait to speak. What are you doing? Didn't you see the messages I sent you? Why did you take so long to answer the phone? There was a reason I rejected your confession yesterday. I was sticking up for you! After a second of silence, a cold female voice suddenly came from the other end of the line. Hello, she's not free to answer the phone right now. She's busy making the bed. Her tone was calm and concise, but the content was like detonating 500 tons of TNT, and Yudian was completely stunned. How could there be a girl's voice? And she's making the bed. What happens after making the bed? And Yutian's mind completely short-circuited. She froze in place. This was like a punch to the gut. Silent yet devastating. Luo Qinghan hung up the phone, and also deleted the call log, by the way. Meanwhile, I finally finished setting up the camping mattress and went to the bedroom. I turned on the computer. Preparing to finish today's computer assignment, suddenly, a faint fragrance came from beside me. I turned my head and saw Luo Qinghan sitting next to me, frowning and staring at my screen. Your pointer usage is wrong. And here, you could just add a new variable to fix this. So why do you have to write a whole function?
Do you even know how to code?
I stared at Luo Qinghan in surprise. I thought girls were all bad with computers. How do you know how to do this? Luo Qinghan gave me a proud look. Move aside. Let me do it. I was overjoyed immediately. Luo Qinghan took the keyboard and started typing rapidly. Her slender, delicate fingers danced non-stop. As graceful as playing the piano. I was amazed. So I hurried to the kitchen to wash a plate of grapes and brought them over. With a fawning expression, I asked, Senior, do you want some grapes? My hands are full, Luo Qinghan said, her fingers still typing. So I popped one into my own mouth. Wow, so sweet. I couldn't help but smack my lips. Luo Qinghan immediately looked displeased. You're just eating by yourself. I was stunned. Didn't you say you were busy? Luo Qinghan glared at me. Aren't you free? Feed me, you dummy. I held my breath. Isn't this a bit too intimate? We're just friends. This crosses the line. The next second, I picked up a grape and held it to Luo Qinghan's mouth. Luo Qinghan's face turned slightly pink as she bit into it. So it went. Luo Qinghan typed quickly. And I fed her grapes one by one. I originally thought that with the amount of work for this computer assignment, I would definitely be up all night. But unexpectedly, Luo Qinghan finished it all in the time it took to feed her a whole bunch of grapes. At around 11:30, the two of us, both beaming, got into our respective beds. I lay down on the camping mattress on the floor. And due to the awkward situation last night, Luo Qinghan chose to sleep on the right side of the bed, the farthest from me. One on the bed, one on the floor. We were a full 1.5 meters apart. Both of us had the same thought. This is definitely safe now. No accidents for sure. Listening to my gradually steady breathing and smelling the faint, intoxicating fragrance on me, Luo Qinghan closed her eyes in peace, a contented smile appearing on her face. This time it's finally safe. Tomorrow morning I must be proper and dignified. The next morning, I opened my eyes before the alarm went off. However, the first thing I saw was actually Luo Qinghan's arm. I looked up in confusion. At some point, Luo Qinghan had actually crawled to the far left side of the bed. Her curves rose and fell like mountains, and her graceful jade-like arm hung straight down. Staring at her arm in shock, I rubbed my eyes. It was fair and slender, as smooth as silk, truly beautiful. But the problem was she wasn't on this side last night. Let's just say she had moved a full 1.5 meters sideways overnight. I couldn't help but shake my head. Is Luo Qinghan really a wealthy young lady? I feel like my aunt's 3-month-old niece. Sleeps more properly than her. All right, I called softly. Luo Qinghan, wake up. Could you please put away your magic? Letting out a soft moan, Luo Qinghan opened her eyes dazedly. That was such a good sleep. She had suffered from chronic insomnia for a long time, but these past 2 days at my place, her sleep had been surprisingly good. Now every cell in her body was full of energy. Her gaze followed her arm down, and Luo Qinghan's mouth gradually opened slightly, before her eyes widened suddenly. The worst thing is the sudden silence in the air. Luo Qinghan's cheeks turned so red it looked like they were about to burn. Flustered, she fumbled around in a panic, and in her haste to fix things, she swung her arm and slapped me across the face. It was accurate, loud, and crisp. I was left completely speechless. Luo Qinghan must be getting revenge for that night, right? 10 minutes later, by the sink, Luo Qinghan grabbed her cascading hair and broke down again. Why did she, a dignified, wealthy young lady, end up in such an unseemly state every night? She had suspected this yesterday, and today she was almost certain. The reason her sleeping posture was so improper must be because I smelled too good. Luo Qinghan had an unusually sensitive sense of smell since childhood, often able to detect many faint scents that ordinary people couldn't perceive. When she first met me a year ago, she thought I smelled wonderful, which was why she wanted to be around me. Luo Qinghan ground her foot in shame on the floor. Wasn't she being too unreserved? No, she definitely couldn't stay in this house any longer. She had to go back to the dormitory. Uncle Lee had already arranged everything for her yesterday, but she delayed it by reading those chat records. She had to leave today. Walking out of the bathroom, she looked up and glared fiercely at me by the dining table. I was pouring soy milk. The morning sun streamed in through the window, casting light on my handsome profile and creating a charming glowing outline around it. Did she really have to say goodbye to me? Luo Qinghan's heart suddenly skipped a beat and never returned to this house again. They finished breakfast in silence, then walked out the door together. Side by side on the road, the autumnal equinox had already passed, but the weather wasn't cold at all. Luo Qinghan looked up and saw a boy riding an orange electric bike, with a girl with a ponytail on the back, slowly passing in front of them. The girl on the bike held onto the boy's waist, her eyes and brows filled with a sweet smile. Luo Qinghan stopped in her tracks at once. She grabbed the sleeve of my shirt and pointed at the two of them. Let's go buy one too. I couldn't help but snort inwardly. Just because you say buy, we buy. What's our current situation anyway? I only have a huge sum of 40 yuan in my pocket right now. An electric bike costs at least 2,000 yuan, okay? But Luo Qinghan stared at me intently with her beautiful eyes. Her expression was just like a child who saw a favorite toy in a store, refusing to leave until they got it. I surrendered instantly. Fine, I'll buy it. Happy now. Be good, let's go to school first. Only then did Luo Qinghan nod, lowered her head and continued walking with me. She also found it strange. What was wrong with her? She wasn't even going to stay at my place tonight. So why was she insisting on making me buy an electric bike? What sense did that make? Even if I bought it, she wouldn't get to use it anyway. Suddenly, she remembered the chat record she'd read yesterday. I had told Yutian I would save up to buy an electric bike to give her rides. So this was what women's jealousy felt like. I sent Luo Qinghan to her school. At that moment, outside Building 3 of Yunda University's student dormitory, a girl with silver-white hair was waiting at the entrance. Luo Qinghan was also carrying a huge black backpack. Luo Qinghan waved goodbye to me with a complicated expression, then looked at the girl in front of her speechlessly. Zhang Yuyao, why are you bringing so many large-caliber weapons? The MA-13 submachine gun is bad enough, but what about the MLNKI light machine gun and RBG-3 rocket launcher? This is a university. The strongest combat force here is just the school security guards. Who exactly are you planning to blow up? By bringing a rocket launcher to the dorm. Chewing gum. Zhang Yuyao looked indifferent as she dismantled all the guns and neatly arranged them in the dormitory cabinet. Sister, it's never a bad thing to prepare more, she said. After all, the one giving you trouble is your old man. If the Qinglong Club really makes a move, I'm afraid my firepower here won't be enough. I also prepared things that can pass subway security checks, she added. Qiang Yuyao took out a pink backpack with a Hello Kitty pattern and threw it to Luo Qinghan. There are just some small gadgets in here, she said. Useful and convenient. When Luo Qinghan opened the backpack and looked inside, she immediately rolled her eyes. She pulled out a hand grenade and stared at the silver-haired girl. You call this a small gadget? And are you sure this thing can pass security checks? Zhang Yuyao blinked. Can't it? After thinking for a moment, she bent down and pulled a folding knife from the inside of her marten boots and waved it casually. Brilliant, dazzling knife flowers kept blooming in her hands. This works, right? Finally, Luo Qingyan nodded in satisfaction. At least this looks like something a college student would have. Putting away the folding knife, Jiang Yuyao flopped onto the bed without a care for her appearance and let out a contented sigh. Oh, right, sister. Where did you hide these past 2 days while I was gone? She asked. A trace of unease flashed across Luo Qinghan's face. At a friend's place. Jiang Yuyao didn't press further. Well, now that you're showing up again, are you planning to play it straight with your old man from now on? We'll be living in this dorm together from now on, right? You won't have to go back to that friend's place anymore, will you? At these words, Luo Qinghan fell silent at once. Not going back anymore? She stared blankly at the dorm room. It was indeed an ideal place. With Yu Yao's protection, safety wasn't an issue, and there would be no more morning awkwardness. But why did she still feel a touch of loss? Flustered, she took out that pink phone and opened WeChat. Looking at her empty chat history with me, she couldn't help but pout. There's nothing here at all, she thought. I chatted with Enyudian so much, but I have nothing with him. What is he doing right now? Isn't he messing around with Enyudian again?